Mark wiped his hands on his worn-out shirt and glanced at the horizon. The twin suns of Kepler-12 cast a warm golden glow over the small colony, painting the metal structures in light that made them almost beautiful. Raising 2 children alone on a distant planet had been challenging, but he had managed. Lily, 10, and Max, 8, were lively, curious, and full of questions. Sometimes their energy exhausted him, but most days it filled the empty corners of his life with laughter. That morning started like any other. Lily had been tinkering with one of Mark's old drones, attempting to attach a makeshift paint sprayer, while Max had decided that the colony's small garden could double as a science lab. Their arguments over whether the tomato plants could survive a small chemical experiment were loud but harmless. Mark watched with a small smile, feeling a swell of pride. Raising kids alone was hard, but he couldn't imagine it any other way. A distant hum suddenly interrupted their routine. The sound grew louder, mechanical, and precise until a sleek starship descended from the sky. Its polished silver surface reflected the suns, and the hum of its engines vibrated gently under their feet. The kids froze, their eyes wide. Lily pointed, her mouth forming a perfect O. "Is that a ship?" she whispered. "Yes," Mark said, though he had no idea who or what it might carry. Visitors were rare in this remote part of the colony. Most travelers stayed at the central hub, hundreds of kilometers away. This ship was coming directly to them. As the ship's ramp slowly extended to the ground, Mark instinctively stepped in front of the kids, unsure of what to expect. Then she appeared. Alara stepped onto the dusty ground with grace that seemed almost otherworldly. Her skin shimmered slightly in the sunlight like polished bronze, and her eyes glowed faintly, deep green and intelligent. Her hair, long and silver, moved as if it had a life of its own, catching the wind in a way that made Lily and Max gasp. Alara's presence was commanding but gentle, a combination that instantly drew the children's attention. She looked at Mark and the kids with a polite smile. "Hello?" she said, her voice melodic yet clear. "I am Alara." Mark swallowed, trying to keep his surprise under control. "I'm Mark," he said. "These are my kids, Lily and Max." Alara inclined her head slightly, acknowledging them. "I am here for Mark." Her gaze lingered on him, but she quickly looked at the children and then back to Mark, pausing as though taking in the situation. Mark cleared his throat. "Well, you found him. But you should know something." He hesitated, unsure how to phrase it politely. I'm already raising my kids alone." Alara tilted her head, a gesture that was both curious and analytical. "I see." She paused, letting her eyes travel over the small home and the children. "I was expecting a different arrangement." The children, however, had no such hesitation. Lily stepped forward, her eyes bright with curiosity. "You're not leaving, are you?" she asked, almost in a challenge. Max joined her, nodding vigorously. "We like you. You can stay, right?" Mark opened his mouth to respond, but Alara held up a hand. "I need time to understand." She glanced at the children, and for a moment her alien features softened. "You are remarkable." Over the next few hours, Alara began helping with daily chores. She moved with efficiency and grace, lifting heavy containers as if they weighed nothing. And her alien gadgets made tasks faster and easier. Lily watched in awe as Alara demonstrated a small device that could purify water instantly, turning cloudy liquid into clean, sparkling water. Max was fascinated by her knowledge of energy sources and tried to ask questions which Alara answered patiently. Mark observed quietly, feeling a strange mix of relief and confusion. He had expected an awkward encounter, maybe tension or disappointment, but instead the kids were laughing, exploring, and learning with her. He couldn't help but notice that her presence seemed to fill the emptiness in the house, something he hadn't realized had been missing. By evening, they had shared a simple meal. Alara had attempted to cook human food, her movements awkward but endearing. The children giggled as she accidentally mixed spices in odd combinations, but Mark found himself smiling. There was a warmth here he hadn't felt in years. "Alara," he said cautiously, "I need to be honest. I didn't expect this. You came for me, but we already have a family. It's not what you signed up for, I'm sure." Alara looked at him with calm eyes. "I came with expectations, yes, but I did not anticipate children. They are different than I imagined. Intriguing, bright, capable." She glanced at Lily and Max, who were busy drawing a map of the colony with strange symbols she had taught them. I find myself drawn to this situation. Mark rubbed the back of his neck. Drawn to it? Yes, Alara said simply. They have chosen me. Not forced me, not expecting me to replace anyone. Yet they want me here. I consider their choice seriously. The children, overhearing this, cheered softly. Lily rushed forward, tugging at Alara's hand. See, we chose you. Max nodded enthusiastically. You're part of our family now. Alara smiled, a gesture that felt warm despite the subtle otherworldly aura around her. Perhaps. This is not the mission I expected, but it is a mission I will take seriously. That night, Mark sat alone on the porch, staring at the stars. He felt a mix of anxiety and hope. This situation was complicated. Alara was not his intended partner, yet she was kind, intelligent, and capable. Most importantly, she was already winning over his children. How could he navigate this without upsetting her or confusing the kids? Meanwhile, in her quarters aboard the ship, Alara analyzed her own emotions. Her original mission was simple: meet her assigned human partner and establish a connection. Yet what she had found was far more complex. She had found a human who loved his children, and two children who radiated warmth and curiosity. She realized her own desires were shifting. The mission was no longer just about a human mate. It was about forming genuine bonds, understanding, and trust. The next morning, the children woke early, eager to spend time with Alara. They found her in the garden, tinkering with a small energy device. Good morning, Lily shouted. Can we help today? Alara looked up, smiling. Of course. I was just about to test a new energy source. Perhaps you can assist. The children spent hours exploring, experimenting, and learning. Mark watched them from a distance, amazed at how naturally they all fit together. By lunchtime, Alara had crafted small energy-powered toys for Lily and Max, showing them how to combine human creativity with alien technology. The children were ecstatic. By afternoon, they had developed a routine. Alara assisted with chores, helped with homework, and even taught the children alien games that challenged their minds and reflexes. The home, which had once felt quiet and routine, was now alive with laughter, curiosity, and energy. Yet despite the joyful moments, a small tension lingered. Mark still worried about the future. Could this work? Could they truly integrate Alara into their family without complications? And Alara, despite her calm demeanor, felt a strange pull. She was no longer just an observer or visitor. She was part of this family in a way she had not anticipated. That evening, the children sat together and whispered excitedly. We have to make a plan, Lily said. We need her to stay, Max nodded. We can't let her leave. She's too cool. They approached Mark and Alara together, holding hands. We want you to stay with us, Lily said firmly. We voted. You're part of our family now. Alara looked at Mark, her expression soft. They have made their choice. She turned to the children. It is a choice I will honor, but we must all agree together. Families require trust, care, and patience, Mark smiled faintly. Well, I think we can manage that. We'll see how this goes. As night fell, Alara stood on the porch with Mark, watching the twin suns set. The air was filled with a calm energy, one that hinted at change, growth, and unexpected connections. The children had made their choice and in doing so had set the stage for a new kind of family. For Alara, the mission was no longer about duty. It was about understanding, learning, and choosing. And for Mark, it was about opening his heart to someone entirely unexpected but perhaps exactly what they all needed. And so, as the stars twinkled overhead and the quiet hum of the colony settled into the night, the first chapter of this unusual, heartwarming story drew to a close. The children had chosen, the bonds had begun, and the future promised adventures, laughter, and the slow building of a family that defied expectation, but embraced love in its purest form. The next morning, the sun rose over the colony, painting the small homes and dusty paths in soft golden light. Mark had woken earlier than usual, restless. He had spent the night thinking about Alara and the children's decision. Somehow this alien woman sent to marry him had become something more, a part of their little family already. It was strange, unexpected, and yet comforting. Downstairs, the children were already awake, their excitement audible through the floorboards. She's awake, Max whispered loudly, then tried to hold back a giggle. Lily grabbed his arm. Quiet, she might hear us. But it was too late. Alara's soft humming floated from the kitchen area, and both children giggled, peeking around the corner to see her preparing breakfast. Mark watched from the doorway. She moved with grace, her movements deliberate, precise, yet somehow warm. Her hands, long and elegant, worked with unfamiliar tools to make a breakfast that was both human and alien in its ingredients and preparation. The smell was strange at first, but soon it seemed familiar, filling the house with a sense of home. The children ran to her, asking questions about each ingredient, each step, and Alara answered patiently. "This comes from my world," she explained, "and it provides energy in a way your bodies will enjoy. But it also has flavors you might recognize." Max's eyes widened and Lily took a small bite, nodding in approval. "You're amazing," Lily said, her voice full of awe. "You make everything better." Alara smiled, and for a moment her alien features softened entirely. "I only wish to help." The day stretched into an adventure. Alara suggested they visit the nearby forest, a lush area where alien flora grew alongside human-engineered plants. Mark was hesitant at first. The forest was known for its occasional wildlife disturbances, but he also knew the children needed exploration and learning beyond the home. Alara's ship had small hovering devices that scanned the area, alerting them to any dangers. She let Lily and Max control some of them, teaching them how to measure soil quality, air composition, and the energy flow of the unusual plants. Max was fascinated by the energy readings, and Lily loved sketching the plants as she observed them. As they walked, Mark noticed how naturally the family interacted. Alara laughed at Max's jokes, explained complex ideas in simple terms for Lily, and even teased Mark gently about being too serious. For the first time in years, Mark felt like a weight had lifted from his shoulders. This was not the life he had planned, but it was one he had always hoped for, even if he didn't know it yet. They stopped near a sparkling pond. Alara knelt by the water, showing the children how to test its purity using a small device that glowed softly. "Clean water is important," she explained, "not just for survival, but for life to thrive." The children listened, eyes wide. Max asked, "Can we make more places like this?" "Yes," Alara said, smiling. "But it requires care, attention, and cooperation. Everyone must do their part." As they returned home, Mark realized that their bond had grown stronger in just a single day. The children had chosen Alara, but it wasn't just their choice that mattered. It was how naturally she fit into their lives. Mark began to understand that family was not defined only by plans or contracts, but by care, trust, and shared experiences. Later that evening, a message arrived from Alara's homeworld via her ship. It was a reminder of her original assignment, to marry a human chosen by the interstellar matchmaking program. The message was formal, precise, and insistent. "Alara," it said, "your assigned human awaits. Your mission must be completed." Alara read the message carefully. The words were cold and impersonal, a stark contrast to the warmth she had felt today. She sat in quiet thought, watching Lily and Max play a board game with Mark. The children's laughter was light and melodic, and for a moment, she felt a pang of conflict. The mission she had trained for, planned for, and expected was clear. But what she had now, the laughter, the bond, the trust, was real. Mark noticed her silence and approached gently. "Alara, are you okay?" he asked. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting both uncertainty and resolve. "A message has arrived," she said softly. "It reminds me of my mission. I was sent to meet another human. My duties—" She paused, searching for the right words. "My duties call me elsewhere." Mark nodded slowly. "I understand. But duty isn't everything. You've already made a difference here. You've chosen to be part of this family even if you didn't realize it at first." Alara looked at him, considering his words. The children, sensing the tension, ran to her side. Lily took her hand. "We want you here," she said firmly. "Not because you have to be, but because we want you." Max nodded beside her, adding, "Yeah, you make our family better." The sincerity in their voices touched Alara deeply. She looked at Mark, then at the children, and realized something profound. Her original mission was simple: complete a task, follow orders. But what she had discovered was far more meaningful: love, trust, and choice. She could leave, follow the instructions, and complete the mission. Or she could stay, embrace the bond she had built, and allow herself to become part of something real. Choose to stay, Alara said finally, her voice calm but determined. Not because I am told to, but because I wish to. The children cheered, running to hug her, and Mark felt a sense of relief and joy he hadn't known in years. The tension that had hovered over the house melted away, replaced by warmth, laughter, and the beginning of something new. The days that followed were filled with shared experiences. Alara taught the children alien games that challenged their minds and reflexes. Mark introduced her to human customs, simple pleasures like cooking a pancake breakfast and playing hide-and-seek. Each day brought new moments of connection, laughter, and understanding. One afternoon, while exploring the colony market, Alara demonstrated her abilities subtly. She helped a merchant stabilize a malfunctioning energy device, earning impressed glances from the other colonists. The children watched, eyes wide. "She's amazing," Max whispered. "Like a superhero," Lily nodded. "She's not just amazing. She's ours," Mark laughed softly. "Yes, she is." Later, as they returned home, the family noticed the twin suns setting, casting long shadows across the dusty paths. Alara paused, taking in the beauty of the moment. "Your world," she said softly, "is different from mine. But I can feel the life here, the care, the love. It is good." Mark smiled, placing a hand on her shoulder. "It's even better because you're part of it now." Over the next few weeks, the colony began to accept Alara as part of their little human family. The children proudly introduced her to neighbors, showing off the gadgets they had built together. Mark noticed that even the other colonists, who had initially been skeptical of an alien joining their community, now treated her with respect. Her presence was natural, helpful, and kind. One evening, while the family sat around a small fire outside their home, Lily looked up at Alara. "Do you think we'll always be together?" she asked, a little unsure. Alara smiled, looking at the children and then at Mark. "I believe we will," she said. "Families are built on choice, trust, and care. You have chosen me, and I have chosen you. That makes us strong," Max grinned. "So you're officially part of our team?" "Yes," Alara said, laughter in her voice. "I am part of your team, and I will do my best to help, protect, and teach." Mark watched the interaction, feeling a deep sense of contentment. This family, so unusual and unexpected, had become whole. The children had made the choice, but it was the bond, love, and respect they had built that truly mattered. Alara was no longer just a visitor or a mission. She was family. As night fell, the twin suns disappeared behind the horizon and the stars filled the sky. The family gathered together, the children holding on to Alara and Mark, and a sense of peace settled over them. They had faced uncertainty, surprises, and choices that could have divided them. Yet they had embraced one another, forming a bond that transcended worlds. Alara looked at Mark, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "I have learned something important," she said softly. "Life is not only about missions or duty. It is about the connections we choose, the people we care for, and the love we give and receive. Here with you, I have learned the meaning of family." Mark nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "And we've learned that family can come from the most unexpected places." The children, Lily and Max, smiled, their faces bright with happiness. They had chosen wisely, and their choice had brought warmth, adventure, and love into their lives. Alara was no longer a stranger, nor was she an outsider. She was part of their home, their adventures, and their hearts. The colony, the stars, and the distant suns bore witness to the beginning of this unusual, yet perfect family. Together they faced the future with hope, laughter, and the certainty that whatever challenges came their way, they would face them together. And in the quiet night, as the children slept and the gentle hum of Alara's ship blended with the soft sounds of the colony, Mark realized something profound. Sometimes the family we choose is stronger, braver, and more loving than the one we expected. And in choosing each other, they had all found something far greater than a mission. They had found home.